Okay, so I'm back on the normal Lee chess puzzles for today's tactics thing. Oh boy, it's a potential pawn endgame. I mean, I'm not going to treat it as though bishop takes e3 is dead. Well, actually, I was going to say the answer is basically always bishop trading the into the pawn endgame and this sort of thing. But also, is there any reason why I wouldn't throw in a5? Okay, let's just say for argument's sake, a5, take on c5, take on c5, king e3, uh king b4, take, king f5, king b3, e4, a4, e5, a3, e6, a2. There. Doesn't strike me as winning. And I suppose, yeah, if I take on e3, I'm even I'm a tempo behind that last sequence, right? Um, and I don't suppose I didn't see how it helped White to meet a5 with g5, but also I guess that wouldn't exactly not help, I don't think. Anyway, if I just take on so if I take on e3 and play king d5, then what happens? So if he were to play king f4 and I went king d4 and they went whatever, let's say king f5, king e3, king e5. I don't see what that's achieved. Maybe what I actually want to do is play bishop d4. So that when white eventually runs out of moves, takes on d4, I take back, and then you're kind of zugzwanged, right? Because on king g3, I have king e3, and same if you go back, then I go king e3, and then I can go over and take the g pawn. And if you play e3 check, then I have king d3, and then you're definitely zugzwanged. So it would be bishop d4. Yeah, not giving him the opportunity to play bishop takes c5 and king e3. Like, to stop that, I would go bishop d4. White makes whichever pawn move they feel like. I make the other pawn move. So if bishop d4, a5, I go h6, which is obviously not hanging because the bishop is still pinned on e3. And if they go g5, I go a5. Okay, so goes through takes right away. Same thing applies here. On this, I go here, and this should win. Because, now here I can play king e3, and on king f1, king f4. And that's, of course, winning. Yay. Okay. So now we got more pieces on the board. I am down one pawn. I have an H file to work with, but black also has access to that very same file. The knight on f5 is doing quite a good defensive job, but the dark squares are very, very, very weak. And therefore the move queen g5 suggests itself, which threatens queen f6 check followed by rook h8 mate. And I don't immediately see what the opponent actually does about that. That my original thought was bishop e7, but of course that square is covered. So queen there. Rook h8 obviously doesn't do anything because queen f6 and mate on h8 regardless. Knight d6 doesn't do anything because doesn't answer the threat. So I don't actually see what black's plan is for dealing with this at all. I mean, there's no useful checks that I can see. F6 doesn't help. I'm suspicious of it being straightforward like this, but I also do not see. Oh, are you going what? King g8? King g8, queen f6, knight g7, queen h4, knight h5? Well, that's just That's just rude, in my opinion. Okay, what if I play Queen G5, King G8, Queen F6, Knight G7, Bishop E7? I don't know, I'm threatening to take on G7, Bishop F6, and Rook H8. If you go, I don't know, I guess it still seems like you're kind of forced to go Knight H5. But then, like, you must be incredibly dead after Rook takes H5, G takes H5, King H1, and then Rook G1. I mean, that looks like black is completely dead. Okay, so if I tried Bishop E7, that's not as that's not as direct. It gives black a chance to do stuff. Whereas this makes a direct threat of mate in one in two different ways. Forces knight g7. Bishop e7, it makes a pretty substantial threat of mate in three that's hard to stop other than by playing knight h5. Because, like, yeah, I mean, if you move the knight to f5 or e8, then you obviously undo what you did on the previous move, and don't see any other way to deal with it. So bishop e7, nice. The computer didn't even clock it right away. Just playing it out because I like it. Yay. Okay. That's a rook. I would like to capture that rook. I mean, I may as well just play the move because, like, there can't possibly be a sensible alternative. I mean, like, there's no mating net. So okay, but I mean, obviously, you have to figure out what to do after a3. I thought I had knight d1, intending a2, knight e3 check, and then knight c2. Anyway, I'm gonna play this move, right? Um, and then yeah, there any other path? Because, like, I do kind of have to give a check to get the knight back there. Obviously, the path via g4 is guarded. So yeah, I mean, on knight d1, if you went king g4, I mean, well, okay, this does seem kind of forced. On king g4, obviously, the idea being to take this pawn, and then while the knight is dealing with this pawn, you run with the g pawn. Um, what I'd like to do is play like king e5 or something, and well, no, I mean, on oh no, wait a minute. On okay, wait, I'm confusing myself. If you don't make a move with the a pawn, I don't need the check to come back anymore because I have knight c3 if I need it. But, like, I'm scared of what happens if I allow this. Okay, but this is the only move, so I'll play king g4. Yeah. If I check and go here, which again I don't need to do to stop the pawn. Like, this also will stop the pawn. So if I go here and you take here and like king d4, because I mean on king d4 I'm ready to play check and then I can use my king to stop this pawn. The knight and the with the king dealing with the pawn I can actually take it. Knight can deal with this pawn and then I can win the endgame. Oh, so you know what? I could play this, right? Because if no, wait a minute. No, because I kind of run into the same problem after this. Then I have to check and so on. So if this happened and you took, and I went here, and black played, let's say king f3, trying to avoid getting checked, and then um, also not allowing my king to come back to do stuff. That's kind of annoying. I was also looking at what would happen if, like, I did something like this so my king can try to actually directly deal with this pawn. I don't know. I'm confused. So let's say this happens, whatever. Or okay, whatever. Let's say a2, check takes here. G4, d4. No, that just doesn't work, does it? King f2, d5, g3, d6, g2, d7, g1. No, it just doesn't seem like it works. Um, so again, I'm now very confused. Um, this one is hurting my brain. Okay, wait. So what if I did go king d4 and then right? So the idea would be if takes, I go here. If a2, I check and go knight c2, and then after like okay, king f2, am I in time to do that? King c2, g4, king b2, g3. No, it just doesn't work, does it? Wait, knight d4, g2, knight f5? No, wait. No, no, I got confused. What square the pawn is queening on. Okay, hold on. I need to calculate that whole sequence again because I got lost partway through. So what was I doing? I was going king d4, a2, knight e3 check, king g3, knight c2, king f2, king king c3, g4, king b2, g3. No, I'm not in time. Because I would need to get the knight to h3 in 2 turns. And I'm on c2 right now. So that doesn't make a ton of sense. So I remain very confused. So knight c3, let's say, king g3, king d4, uh, king f3 doesn't allow any checks. And yeah, going like king e4, king f5 or something, I don't see how that helps. I'm just so baffled. Like I'm probably being silly, but I'm having such a hard time wrapping my brain around what's going on here. For some reason, I decided I was going to calculate the scenario with the pawn race with the d pawn and the g pawn again, which is, as far as I can tell, just not working. So I'm going back to king d4 for some reason. On king d4, a2, Knight e3 check, takes on g3, knight c2, and then, yeah, I was going g4, king c3, g3. No, wait a minute. No. Was I even giving white an extra move in that line I was calculating? King d4, a2, knight e3, king g3, knight c2, king somewhere out of the way, king c3, g3, king there, there. No, but it doesn't work, I don't think. Uh, I don't understand. Is there any point in me going knight e3 check, knight c2 here? I'm getting sleepy. I don't understand this puzzle. Am I just being really silly? Probably. Okay, wait, what if knight c3, king e4, no, sorry, knight c3, king g3, king king, s- uh, no. Some way to make use of the fact that, like, if I go knight c3, my knight can still move. Black doesn't queen right away, but I'd have to somehow organize a path back, which I don't see that making a ton of sense either. I don't want to just choose a move, but I'm completely stuck. I must be being silly. Like, not that the answer is easy necessarily, but I've just stopped. I've stopped calculating lines out loud because I'm just resorting back to the lines that I've calculated already. So not a ton of point repeating them out loud, I don't think. I was looking at like 93 king g3, knight c2, a2, king e4, g4, king e3, but like it just doesn't make sense. You know what? I'm just gonna play knight c3. Oh, why does this work? takes, oh, d4, or okay, let's say d4, g4, king c6, king here, 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 here. Oh, why did I think this didn't work? What the heck was I calculating then? Why did I think, oh, was I only calculating this version? I must have only been calculating this version, where there was like at minimum a1 queen, but also queen g6. I didn't see this, but this is stronger. Why wasn't I calculating it with the knight here? Because yeah, with the knight here, there's no immediate queening. Oh, I'm so silly. I went through so many different iterations of possibilities. I guess I never happened to consider the pawn race with knight c3 instead of knight c2. I kept trying to figure out ways for the king to come get this pawn and the knight to deal with this pawn, but it just didn't exist. Okay, well that was very silly of me. Let's maybe try one more, but I am getting very sleepy. Um, okay. So what's the material? Rook down again for a pawn this time. Okay. I mean, I have bishop e4 check. Is that what you want from me? I doubt it. Yeah, and the reason would be because of queen g5 check. Queen g5, bishop g5 check, and after f4 you can move the rook. So bishop f5 check. Do I have a follow-up after that? King h8. Anything? Play bishop f7 check, of course. King h8. And then I didn't see what my follow-up was. Bishop h7 exists. Um, I'm slightly tempted by bishop h7, king h7, queen h4. As on king to the g file, queen g4 check. If you go back to h8, I could play like rook e1. If you go to f6, I have knight e4 check. However, if you take bishop h7, king h7, queen h4, king g6, and then on queen g4, queen g5, is that real? I don't know, maybe. By the way, I was also not into gonna say bishop h7, king h8. I was not entirely sure what to do, but I mean, I suppose does throwing in knight f7 make any sense? I mean, you can't take it obviously because queen g8, but after king h7, does that make any sense? Otherwise, like taking on h4, queen takes d6. I mean, bishop check, king g7, queen h7, king f6. I don't know. What if I did something really silly, like um okay, on if bishop h7, king h8, rook e5, if takes I have knight f7, king h7, I can throw in queen h4 and then knight e5. That could be something. Or I could start knight f7, king h7, rook e5 or something. So if bishop h7, king h7, I think I didn't fully solve that. Queen h4, king g6, which is so very annoying. Maybe. I don't know, because like if I make an obvious attacking move like rook e4, then well actually first of all queen g5 check. Okay. No wait, I took the bishop already. No, there's no what no I'm confusing myself. No, there's queen g5 check because the king is on g6. I'm so unorganized with my thoughts today. So take, king g6. Definitely can't allow queen g5 check trading queens. If I went f4, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what my idea is after queen takes d6. Queen g5, king f7. Yeah, I don't know. Uh, yeah. Weirdly enough, I don't see anything after king g6. So I may have to alter my plans, but I'm not exactly sure how to alter my plans in a good way. Like, I don't know, on king g6, I can play queen e4 and queen takes a8, but my knight is still hanging on d6. It's annoying being a rook down. I don't know, do I have to abandon the bishop takes h7 idea? It would suck to have to do that, but it's better when ideas work than when they don't work. What if I took on h7 and went knight e4 to stop queen g5 check, and then on queen somewhere I went rook h1 into rook e1 intending rook h1, rook h4. It doesn't work because like you can actually wait. No, okay, an example of why it doesn't work is queen f5. Yeah, okay. Oh, what if I just do this really simply? Bishop f7 check, king h8, queen takes h4. Threatening queen f6 mate. Uh, I mean, if you sack your rook on f7, queen f7, knight f7, I mean, king g7, I am a pawn up, and I have an ongoing attack, maybe. Yeah, like 95 or something. Or rook e5 even. Okay, so that what else can you play on queen h4? Because you can't go, for example, queen d6, because queen f6 is mate. I don't see any square you can move your queen to that safely prevents the threat that I just made. King on king g7. That's kind of worried about this. What exactly am I doing next? Something like, I mean, I could play Queen G4 back, and on King H8. Now that I don't have to worry about taking the bishop, I can go to I can go Queen F4. Does that change anything? Queen F4, King G7, 98. Yeah, actually, that looks good to me. And then you can't, after I go Queen G4 check back, you can't go here for the same reason as before, because I check and take. Oh, right. Now, okay, first of all, can you guys see the engine? Yeah, you can. So after it takes, yeah, if this is what got played, and if you went here, oh, I just have Queen E7 right away. Okay. But yeah, also this. No, wait a minute. Oh yeah, I was going here, and then on here, I was playing this. Oh, but Rook E5. Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, I mean my calculation was very, very, very off today. But we got the 4 for 4 in the end. I'm done after this because I'm like I said, I'm very tired. So what was the other thing I tried? I was trying this, and then on here, I can just take here, but I do like this other idea that I came up with. But then this takes. Oh, you can go back as well. I thought I could play here and rookie one, but now I'm seeing that probably queen d5. No, because I can go check and oh, rook a7. I did not see rook a7, but also, yeah, there's nothing great on king g6, and actually black's better here. Okay, so that's not my best ever performance in terms of actually calculating things accurately, but I got there in the end. Uh, so okay, that's all for today.